He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die!
The Despicable Me films are like a cute illustration of how love and family can transform a man from a villain to a hero when you're a kid. And how can we forget those cute little monsters, the Minions? But when watched by those who are older, the films appear a little weird, and we're not just talking about storyline gaps, but also some strange things that should concern anyone over the age of 18. Don't believe us? Just stay tuned and you'll see.
I have been working on something very big. Something that will blow this pyramid.
Say you're on the wrong side of the law. Wouldn't you try to act innocent, or would you all out blow your cover? As a villain, it is probably best for Gru to hide the fact that he's one of the most wanted men in the world. From the beginning of the first movie, his house, which stands out significantly from the other houses on the block, his manner of clothing, and his car are all examples of how little effort he appears to make in concealing his wicked tendencies. To make things worse, he frequently draws his firearms in public, which not only increases the likelihood that he'll get caught, but it also makes it clear that he's shady. It doesn't make much more sense to keep Gru's villainy out in the open, even though it may mesh with the outrageous humor of the Despicable Me movies. Also, did you catch this? Through loans from the Bank of Evil, a monstrous structure complete with men being crushed between its pillars, Gru was able to finance his villainy. The bank is the height of evil, and if you look closely, you can see where its real-life inspirations came from. The words formerly Lehman Brothers are written beneath the emblem in its tiny characters, which makes it an appropriate analogy that will pass any child right by.
Sorry, you know dogs, they go wherever they want to go.
Unless they're dead. I'm joking.
You know you've transitioned into adult when watching people have nice things on screen has you doing a ton of mental math to see how they're affording this lifestyle. So naturally we have some concerns about Gru's corporate strategy. How can a middle-aged homeowner fund a sizable underground lab with an army of little yellow wage laborers, let alone pay the bills through villainy? It's true that the Bank of Evil has the past given the bad guy credit, but how did he repay those loans? The bank director claims that the majority of Gru's evil schemes never produced a profit in the first movie of the series. Something doesn't add up, and it doesn't take a genius like Dr. Nefario to notice it. It's obvious that the bad guy is operating a sophisticated pyramid scam, and we don't mean the kind that involves taking items that are too well known to fence. Also, Gru has poor driving skills, like just terrible. Think about the environment, Gru. Every time he drives out in his big gas-guzzling car, he leaves a trail of devastation in his wake. In the first movie, he actually literally kills a man by veering off the road after Agnes squeals upon seeing super silly fun land. Despite the fact that Gru is a villain who obviously doesn't care much about causing harm to others' property or the occasional death, it's likely that he's an adult with a driver's license and car insurance. It raises even more concerns about Gru's financial status to consider the premiums he must be paying for his poor driving abilities.
Here we are, home sweet home.
So, this is like your house?
What's more terrifying than an evil bank or supervillain? A homeowners association with a grudge. Except for this, every house on Gru's street resembles the others. The villain's residence is a deep brown color, in contrast to the other houses' white walls and orange roofs. The lush green lawns of Gru's neighbors stand in stark contrast to Gru's lifeless yard. The eerie crib towering above every other structure on the street doesn't raise eyebrows. Even without the large underground factory or rocket launch pad, the house probably breaks a lot of city rules. The city receives numerous complaints, but Gru does more than just violate building codes. He makes a threat to kill his neighbor's dog, which would easily get him into trouble with the law. A skillful fake can sometimes fool even the finest art critics. In reality, it's possible that some of the works of art displayed in the most renowned museums in the world are really cheap imitations. By hiding two instantly recognizable paintings in the background of Gru's house, the franchise CGI creators subtly alluded to this hypothesis. We're talking about the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci that hangs on the wall of his adopted daughter's room. Even funnier is the placement of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night next to a poisonous waste container in a corner. While keen eyes may undoubtedly notice these visual jokes, the film's subdued comedy is what makes it suitable for the whole family. The artsy kids got this one.
Minions assemble!
Okay.
In addition to assisting their wicked master in stealing the moon, Gru's adorable minions also won the hearts of young viewers all across the world. These lemon-like lackeys contributed significantly to the success of the franchise and even went on to direct their own movie. But did you know that the flamboyant flunkies weren't in the first draft of the Despicable Me script? We can't even imagine the movie without them. The minions were created by the film's creators using a range of pop culture icons as inspiration. The Oompa Loompas, one of Willy Wonka's little helpers, and the tiny desert scavengers from Galaxy Far, Far Away, the Jawas, were two influences. This immediate sense of nostalgia increases the allure of these adorable pill-shaped scamps for adults. The minions became popular with kids all over the world thanks to their distinctive speech pattern. The language, which is a hybrid of nonsense and tongue, has many fascinating mysteries that older viewers will also find fascinating. The fictional language, for instance, incorporates words and phrases from numerous real languages. Of course, English words like banana and potato are used in Minionese. The word da, which means yes in the imaginary language, comes from Russian. Also, it incorporates the Indonesian word for thank you, the Spanish word for wedding, and the Chinese term for celebrate. Several more languages are also sampled, however, occasionally words are somewhat tweaked. If you notice in Despicable Me 3, Gru makes an attempt to speak the language.
Read my lips! Lisa mi lipo! Pomodoro la kumquat!
Much to the amusement of his underlings as a gesture to its linguistic complexity.
Hi, Miss Hattie. We're back. Hello, girls.
Quick question, Miss Hattie or Professional Umbridge, who is more evil? Even though Miss Hattie, the orphanage keeper, is known to be one of the film's villains, watching it as an adult makes it clear how awful she truly is. First off, Miss Hattie appears to fund her enterprise by employing unsafe child labor by sending her charges to canvas neighborhoods alone to sell cookies. She literally locks kids in a cardboard box, which she refers to as the box of shame, and keeps them there over the weekend when they don't reach her quotas, which is child abuse. On top of that, she consents to the adoption of Margot, Edith, and Agnes by a dubious man who openly flirts with her. There's also no need for this woman to be in charge of children. But if you're thinking you've heard her voice again in the series, you're right. We know that Kristen Wiig's voice is incredibly expressive, so it makes sense that Illumination chose her to play Miss Hattie, the girl's babysitter, one of the movie's most major adult female characters. But here's what you probably didn't catch. She voiced a number of significant roles throughout the Despicable Me franchise. She returned for the sequel as Lucy, the super spy who eventually becomes Gru's bride. In Despicable Me 3, Wiig returns to the role, and while we're much more fans of Lucy than Miss Hattie, it's impossible to not hear the similarities between the two characters.
What's going on? Remember Little Boots?
Hello, my schmoopsie poo.
Whoa, hey!
It's obvious that the franchise creators adore classic James Bond films and other well-known spy films. They incorporate numerous Easter eggs and nods to well-known works that most children won't even notice. In the first place, Gru is remarkably similar to the 007 archenemy, and he is one of the most parodied characters in history and served as an inspiration for many others, including Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, and many more. Also, Q, Bond's perpetually reproachful gadget vendor, served as an inspiration for Dr. Nefario, Gru's devoted techie. And get this, the movements of Gru were inspired by Peter Sellers' appearance in the Pink Panther movies. They knew they were going with this movie and these hidden gems. Older viewers find nostalgic in these callbacks, and it's always good to look back on these movies when you're older to catch things you didn't as a child. Hope you liked this video, and let us know what you noticed in the Despicable Me franchise as an adult. Please subscribe to our channel to watch more videos. Until next time.
But you're not engaged. Okay? It's not happening.
I understand.